Welcome to this week's Rambler Sports Locker. I'm Kit Anderson.
And I'm Emily Morgenstern. The men's basketball team is preparing to hit the road to Arch Madness.
The men's volleyball team returns with winning ways this week after a rough February.
And 2 Ramblers win Missouri Valley Conference awards. All that and more on the Rambler Sports Locker. In its 3 seasons in the Missouri Valley Conference, Loyola's men's basketball had yet to defeat Wichita State, entering a February 24th home matchup against the Shockers. Dylan Conover has our coverage of the Ramblers' latest meeting with Wichita State.
Hey guys, it was senior night at the Gentile, and the Ramblers were hoping to close out the final home game of the season on a high note, but a win wasn't in the cards. There was a big student turnout, but they were silenced pretty early. Wichita State guard Ron Baker was hot from the start, playing scrappy defense and setting the tone for the night. He finished with a game-high 19 points, 3 for 5 from the three-point line. He also added 2 steals and shot a sizzling 60% from the field. The Ramblers were not able to find a way to beat the best defense in the conference, shooting only 35%, but Milton Doyle was able to beat Baker and the Shockers a couple times. He fouled out of the game with just over 5 minutes left. If there was one bright spot for Loyola, it was senior guard Devin Turk. Turk led the Ramblers with 18 points and finished 4 for 7 from behind the arc. He kept the Ramblers in the game in the second half with his shooting, and he seems to have his three-point shot back after slumping a bit earlier this season. Turk played a game-high 33 minutes. In the end, Baker and the Shockers were just too much for Loyola, handing the Ramblers a 76-54 defeat. Head coach Porter Moser says the Ramblers will try to shake off this loss quickly.
So our focus is try to get some momentum, beat Drake, and see where it lands in terms of the seeding.
Although they have one more regular season game, all our eyes are looking ahead to St. Louis for the conference tournament. Mike Nitsch gives us an inside look at the team's status 1 week out.
1 week from now,
With only
Loyola's
one
men's
regular
basketball team will be in St. Louis. But first, they need to forget about Wednesday's loss to Missouri Valley Conference leader Wichita State and travel to Drake University. Loyola lost to Wichita State 76-54 on senior night in Gentile Arena. Loyola head coach Porter Moser says that his team played good basketball, but the margin of error was too great for the Ramblers to win the game. Moser says he will not let his team dwell on its loss going into the conference tournament.
There's no way, as a head coach, I'm going to let us be down because we lost to Wichita heading into the tournament. I feel like we were playing our best basketball going into this game.
A win against Drake in Loyola's last regular season game would give the Ramblers much-needed momentum going into Arch Madness, which is the Missouri Valley Conference tournament in St. Louis. Senior guard Devin Turk says he plans to lead by example going into his final trip to Arch Madness.
I think of myself as a hard worker. I'm not more so like a vocal type of guy, so I try to lead by example. I try to come in early, get shots up, and I pretty much see them feeding off of that.
Last season, the Ramblers went on a critical winning streak before entering the MVC tournament as the 6th seed. The team upset Indiana State in the quarterfinals before losing to Northern Iowa in this tournament's semifinals. Unfortunately, Loyola will not have its typical support in St. Louis this year due to the timing of the tournament. The past 2 seasons, Arch Madness has taken place during Loyola's spring break. But with the tournament falling during midterm week, many students have found themselves in a bind. Loyola junior Monica Narsolis says she's been to Arch Madness in the past, but won't be attending this year.
I'm not going to Arch Madness this year. It falls during class week, so I have exams, and there's just no way I can miss those.
Another Loyola student, Michael McDevitt, says he won't make it this year, but hopes to go in the future.
I would consider going next year because it's definitely an experience I'd want to have. I've never been to St. Louis, and I love supporting the Ramblers.
Loyola now holds a 7-10 record in the Missouri Valley Conference and is 14-15 overall. The Ramblers won 4 of their last 6 games, and Turk says he won't let Wednesday's defeat break the team's confidence going into the tournament. Arch Madness begins March 3rd and concludes with the championship game on Sunday, March 6th. For the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Mike Nitsch.
With only one regular season game remaining, the Ramblers could get anywhere between the 6th and 9th seeds.
Continuing with Loyola basketball, after winning 8 of its first 11 conference games this season, the women's basketball is on a bit of a slide going into the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. The Ramblers went 1-1 this week, starting with a home win against Illinois State on February 19. Loyola beat the Redbirds 73-61 in that game. Taylor Manuel became the second Rambler this season to pass the 1,000-point mark. Taylor Johnson finished with a game-high 21 points, and Nika Wheeler scored a career-high 20 points. Just 2 days later, the Ramblers lost a late lead to Indiana State and fell 74-71. Loyola has lost 3 of its last 4 games. Loyola kicks off a 2-game road trip against Drake University and Des Moines, Iowa on February 26. Only 3 games remain before the MVC tournament.
Last week, the Loyola softball team had a rough start in the morning, but pulled through in the afternoon for a win. The morning started off with a loss to Quinnipiac, 5-3. Quinnipiac scored 2 runs in the top of the 7th, breaking their 3-3 tie with Loyola. Junior Erica Nagel had a great start to the game with 3 hits. Fortunately, the Ramblers' luck got better in the afternoon when freshmen Kylie Jones and Keenan Dozel combined to shut out the Hawks 4-0. Nagel led the offense with 3 more hits, and freshman Katie Kasubke ripped a pair of doubles, including a big 2-run double in the first inning.
Now we'll send it over to Kathy Nowak for this week's numbers on By the Numbers.
Hello Rambler fans, I'm Kathy Novak and welcome to By the Numbers. This week's number is 4. Jumping right into basketball, Jerry Sloan was selected number 4 in the 1965 NBA draft by the Bullets and traded a year later to the Chicago Bulls. He was nicknamed the original Bull for his persistent defense. Sloan led the Bulls to the playoffs and only division title before Michael Jordan. Sloan also was awarded 4-time NBA All-Defensive First-Team Player throughout his career. Moving on to baseball, now this is something Chicago Cub fans will be happy to hear. The Chicago Cubs enter spring training with the best odds to win the World Series. The Cubs are 4-1 to win the World Series at the Westgate Superbook. No other team has odds in the single digits. The Cubs have the shortest preseason odds, with favorite has had in the past 4 years at the Superbook. MGM has already written over 2,500 tickets on the Cubs to win the World Series. That's 4 times as many bets as the second favorite this season, the Mets. Devin Turk wears the number 4 for Loyola men's basketball team. He is 6'4" and is in his 4th year at Loyola. As a junior, Turk finished 4th in the Missouri Valley Conference in 3-point field goal percentage, reaching a 42.4% clip for that season. During last night's game against Wichita State, Turk finished with 18 points and 4 rebounds. The Loyola men's basketball team is now 14-15. That's all I have for this week's By the Numbers. I'm Kathy Novak. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Kathy. Track and field had an impressive results both on and off the track this week. Sophomore Stephen Hubana was named Missouri Valley Conference Scholar Athlete of the Week. Hubana is a biochemistry major and also owns a 3.875 grade point average. He represented the Rambler men at the Origin Blue Open this past Saturday and gave his strongest performance of the season. Senior Mitch Baum received Missouri Valley Conference Good Neighbor Award. Baum represented Loyola at the Alex Wilson Invitational in South Bend, Indiana on Saturday, where he had a personal best time in the mile, missing the school record by 1 second.
The men's volleyball team returned to its winning ways last weekend by defeating IPFW Macedons in 3 sets. Ramblers senior Trevor Novotny led Loyola with 10 kills, and Nick Olson led the defense with 4 blocks. 5 Ramblers finished with at least 5 kills. This moves the Ramblers to 9-4 overall and 4-2 in conference play.
With Kobe Bryant's 20-year career coming to an end, the Rambler analysts take a look at where he fits in the all-time NBA ranks.
Hello, welcome to this week's Ramble. I'm your host, Bridget Murphy. I'm here with Brooke Zubel and Nader Issa. So last week, basketball great Kobe Bryant played his last game at the United Center. Today, we reflect upon the legacy that he leaves behind as he says goodbye to basketball. For the first pass of his career, Kobe is passing on the league to players who were mere children when he started playing in 1996. As Kobe continues his farewell tour, we are left to ponder where exactly he sits in the list of all-time greats. Some have him on par with the best, saying he's this generation's Michael Jordan, though others put him lower on the list, saying he's good. But there's been better, and we'll see better in the up-and-coming stars of today. So my question to you is, where do you put Kobe Bryant in the pantheon of basketball legends? Nader.
I think he's up there. He's, of course, an all-time great. He's our generation's Michael Jordan. So we haven't seen, in our lives, haven't seen anything like Kobe. LeBron's obviously great, but the only person jumping over Jumpman is Yeezy. Kobe is not as great as Michael Jordan. He doesn't have as many rings. Second of all, in his generation, Tim Duncan has just as many rings as Kobe Bryant, and he didn't get to play with players like Shaquille O'Neal, who himself is an all-time great. Kobe isn't even the best Laker of all time. Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, there's a lot of other Lakers that are just as good as Kobe Bryant and got just as much done for the Lakers as Kobe Bryant.
So spitting out a number, where are you putting him at?
Excuse me?
So spitting out a number, where would you put him?
Where would I put Kobe
the top
Bryant?
10, top 20?
He's definitely between a top 5 player and top 10 player all time, but I wouldn't put him near the top by MJ by any means.
Brooke?
I completely disagree with him. I think that he should be in the top 5 based on 5-time national champ. He's been selected for the NBA All-Star 11 times, 9 times for the All-Defensive. He's 2-time scoring champ. Not to mention his big victory with scoring as many possible points in one game, just under Chamberlain with 100 points. He scored 81 points. So, I mean, I don't see how that, with those statistics and that amount of effort that he puts in for the Lakers, I don't see how he couldn't be one of the top.
So all those people on this list have really good stats, but how much is the fans' connection to the player? How much does that push him up the list?
I mean, I think just with the fact that as soon as Kobe was drafted, he was switched to the Lakers, and the Lakers have never gotten rid of him. So, I mean, with that, I think the connection to the fans, how can you not have a connection with a player that's been there through everything, through so many seasons, so many years? And, I just think that with that, the fans have to love him.
Nader?
Obviously, the fans love Kobe Bryant, but I'm going to bring it right back to Tim Duncan. Kobe can't be on the same level as Michael Jordan if he's not even the best player of his generation. I would argue that Tim Duncan is just as good as Kobe Bryant, if not better, has as many rings, has that connection with San Antonio, with their fans. They love him. He's had just as long as a career as Kobe Bryant. And you have to remember, when Kobe Bryant came to the Lakers, they were already established as one of the best franchises in the NBA. They already have the most titles in the NBA as a franchise. Tim Duncan went to the Spurs. They had David Robinson. They had Tony Parker, who came on later on. They had Manu Ginobili, but they weren't established as a franchise like the Lakers were. And Tim Duncan really took them to that next level and put them on the same level as the Lakers.
So would you put Tim Duncan top 5 then?
Yeah, I mean, he's right above Kobe. I put him slightly above Kobe, maybe top 5, but definitely above Kobe, just because of the way he was able to establish the Spurs as one of the best franchises in the leagues, almost single-handedly.
So I know you're a LeBron fan, so where do you put LeBron on this list? Or are you waiting till towards the end of his career to kind of assess?
Personally, I think that you can't assess a player until they're at the end, because their legacy is still going. I mean, LeBron is still at a high point in his career. He's still going through. So I don't think until Kobe's reached his end, you can't necessarily assess him.
So he has reached the end, but this season is going pretty terribly for the Lakers. How would you say that affects his ranking for the players all time?
I mean, everyone has a bad season. Everyone has, because it's not just him. It's a whole player. It's a whole team. So it's everyone contributing. So I don't necessarily think that impacts his legacy and what he's established up until this. He's gone to 2 Olympics, 2 gold medals, I mean, things that impact him can come together in the end.
Nader, final comments?
I just think if he's not even the best player of our generation, I don't think he can be the best player of all time or rank up there with Michael Jordan.
Okay, I'm going to go with Nader on this one because we are seeing a lot of talent coming out of the NBA right now, and there's a lot of exciting things to look forward to in the future. So Nader, you win this one. Back to you at the desk.
Kobe, Tim Duncan, LeBron, they're all great, but no one beats MJ.
He's the one thing Chicago basketball has going for it right now.
Want to join the conversation? Follow and like our social media handles below and tell us your thoughts. With that, that's all we have time for thought. Tonight, I am Emily Morgenstern.
And I'm Kit Anderson. Tune in to next week's episode for an up-to-date look at all things Rambler sports.
And as always, don't forget to turn out the lights.